Right. Hello, my name is Jared Crump. I am a nurse practitioner. I have been working in mental health specifically for about 6 years now. In that time, I've garnered some information and some knowledge I'd like to share. So you might be asking yourself, why am I making this video? Why am I driving in a car? Those are all legitimate questions. First reason is I have trying to grow a private practice, and I'd like to do the whole social media thing, get some information out there. So my private practice is called Sparrow Mental Health. So for anybody who's living in the state of Idaho, you can see me for psychiatric care and medication management. I also offer I have vast experience with ADHD, anxiety, depression, as well among some other mental health difficulties or struggles, but those are the ones I probably know the most about. And I also offer care from a faith-based perspective for Christian worldview for those who are interested. And for those who are not, that's all right too. The other thing is, I feel like in the social media world, there's a lot of just interesting information, and I think that there's perspectives that are kind of missing. And I'm hoping to share some of those. Oh, why am I driving? Well, multiple reasons. One reason is that I've tried doing these videos before where I'm just sitting in my office or wherever trying to make a video, and it's awkward. I'm kind of constantly looking at myself, and there's this internal feedback. How are you doing? What's going on? It's this internal dialogue that's not helpful when trying to make videos. So driving gives me something to do. I'm distracted. Well, I'm not distracted. I'm not driving distractedly. I just mean that part of my brain can be focusing on, I should probably know what's going on in my brain right now, right? My job. But I'll look into that. It's helpful. It's helpful to be able to be doing something, and talk, I guess. Talk to whoever's listening. Probably no one. That's okay. One of the things I wanted to talk about in terms of mental health is just the base question, what is mental illness? And I feel like there's these perceptions out there related to, mental illness as if it's something that is external to us. I have this thing. I have depression, right? And I'm not saying this is necessarily how everyone thinks of it, but I feel just conversations with people, or my patients, things that I see online, I get this sense of it's this it's outward thing that's being done to me. Something, and theoretically your brain, right? It's like my brain is this other thing, and it's causing this problem. My brain's kind of working against me. And I guess in a certain sense you could see that as being true, right? But there's just much more to the story, I think. And I think it's also just that dynamic is often an unhelpful dynamic in healing and care. This is really wobbly. Oh my gosh. This probably feels like you're in a Jason Bourne movie or something. Sorry about that. This is my first time. What was I saying? The way that I like to think of mental illness is existing on a spectrum of normalcy. So, and especially this is true. Now, I think when you start to talk about really severe mental illness, I think that perspective is understandable. But for most of us, that's not the case. And even with those, and we can talk about that some other time, but even with those, I think there's an argument for this being on the spectrum of normalcy. When it comes to things, I guess what you might call more mundane problems, right? Depression and anxiety being among the most common. It's normal to feel depressed. It's normal to have a physiological depressed response when emotional stressors have gotten too high, right? If you go through something really traumatic or hard, your body goes into this shutdown mode. And that's not a bad thing, and it's a normal thing. And anxiety is the same way. The way that I think of anxiety, and this didn't make this up, I got it from somewhere. Think of it as a physiological, it is a physiological response. It's a fear response, right? It's a fear response to a perceived threat, right? So the threat is not right in front of me. That doesn't mean it's illogical. It doesn't necessarily mean that the perception of a threat is like somehow, what am I trying to say, is irrational. It just means that it is not right here in front of you. And so that's not even a bad thing, right? Because thinking about something scary and then going into a fear response body physiological having a response is not a bad thing, because it's not bad to think about scary things. It's not bad to plan, to think ahead. Our body's brain's way of preparing us for something that could be scary is not bad, right? So again, there's this spectrum, right? So now that there can get to a point where somebody is having a fear response, their perceptions of threats, maybe their perception center is on hyperdrive. So they're constantly aware of what's going on around them, right? There's lots of reasons for that. And so now it comes to the point where it becomes what we would consider pathological, right? So to the point of this is a problem. Now this is disordered. There's a specific order that is normal, right? It's normal for your body, for your brain to go into this fear response in certain ways and in certain measures. And now it's not. Now it's gotten to the point where it's become disordered. It's out of the regular order. Same with mood. It's to the point where my depression kind of response is now more consistent, it's more prolonged. So then the real question is not, I think we focus so often on the symptoms and symptom management. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing by any means. I do this all the time with my patients. Let's manage your symptoms. Let's get your symptoms under better control. But then the real question should always be why? Why is this happening? It's always happening for a reason. Our system is reacting to something for a reason. Now that might not be a super easily discernible reason. The reason could have physiological causes, although I'd probably argue that's less common. But what's happening is a very real physiological response. We have to be attentive and to that in the understanding that there's something going on. There's some reason, right? So if I'm constantly having anxiety, question, there's a reason for that. I'm not trying to pretend like it's an easily discernible reason, or that people should just know, because it's not. Usually when you're in that place, it's gotten so complicated and shrouded that it's really hard to piece apart things and discern it. So by no means an easy process. But I think that good medication management should be done with that in mind, not treating this as a separate thing, right? And I think that happens a lot, especially in mental health, where things become very separated. So your medication management over here, and you address things in this way over here, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, because there is a sense that we have multiple things going on that need to be addressed in different ways. But every person should have an understanding and an awareness of the bigger picture of the whole human person, not simply chemical imbalances. It's way more complicated. So I feel like I went on a bit of a tangent. I think I answered the question though. What is mental illness? It's when our normal processes get to the point of pathology, right? And I think it's helpful to think of it on that spectrum of normalcy, because then it doesn't feel so foreign and other. And I think it also just allows us to see that in other people. Main point being that thinking of it in terms of on the spectrum of normal. That's my train of thought. But that's the main thing. So if you live in Idaho, check out SparrowMentalHealth.com. Check me out on there. If you don't live in Idaho, hope you enjoyed this. Probably nobody, but that's okay. This was an interesting drive this morning. It's very rainy. So I guess that's all I got.